Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's video lesson, we're going to create a little spirit stone, and we're going to put the focus, it'll be a silhouette with a sunset and a bird on a branch. So I've done quite a few videos like this to show you all the prep work, but the stones have been relatively light. This one's going to be black. So nothing changes with the prep work. Picked up the stones from Home Depot in a big bag. Washed it, warm soapy water, used a scrubby brush to get rid of all the dirt, rinse it, let it air dry, then use rubbing alcohol with a paper towel, did another final cleaning to make sure everything got off of there, and then it's ready to go. Now, rubbing alcohol, really stinky, so if you can do your stones all at once outside, that would be better. The inspiration from this, just here, is from this stencil here from DecoArt. Love the stencil. Unfortunately, the birdies are a little bit big. So I'm liking this bird here and I'm liking this bird here. But unfortunately, you know, where did he go? It's a little bit big and I would really have to fuss with the stencil. I could probably do it, you know, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to show you what to do with that. And I'm also doing an experiment. So I have a raw stone here and I have one that I primed with the DecoArt acrylic gesso, the white. So I thought what I would do is create the exact same stone. I'll change the design of the bird, but the exact same stone. One, just coating the rock with Americana Décor Chalky Finish Carbon. Then the other one using gesso. You know, I'll use this one here for the gesso part. And I want to see if the actual finish looks different. So that'll be my experiment. Brushes. I've got them here. I've got my number 10 shader for the priming. I've got a number 2 and 5 round for the branch and the bird. I've got a 20-0 round for the highlight detail. And I've got the 3/4 inch wash for the varnish. And I'm missing a brush. There it is. Number 10 shader for the sky. Okay, so this is the gesso and this is the chalky finish. So let's just we're going to be painting a sunset on this anyways. So my goal for this is, you know, it's when doing sunsets, especially dark ones that are based on really dark blue, I prefer working with a black background. It just saves on paint. So this has got really good coverage. And the gesso I'm using is the DecoArt Media Black Gesso. So that turns out, so I'm going to let that part dry. So this part here, no difference. So using the, right off the bat, using the chalky finish, it grips the stone right away. This is the important one here because it's being put on a raw stone. And so when you're looking for paint, you want to make sure that whatever paint or primer you're using is good for masonry. Worst case scenario, if you're not sure what paint you've got, always use a gesso or some type of primer. You won't go wrong. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry and then we come back. Well, I'm not going to show it on camera, waste of time. I'm going to paint the back, let that dry, then paint the side, let that dry. And then when we come back on video, I'll show you what they look like and see if there's any differences in the finish. There you go. Can you tell the difference? The finish is pretty close. The only difference is that the rock that was raw with the black is blacker than the rock with the gesso. So I probably need to go put a couple more coats on there. So as I know now, they're both the same. All right, so we're gonna go to doing a little bit of color mixing here. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. So the paints that I have out is this is the DecoArt Americana Décor Chalky Finish paints. Okay, and this is Preservation, Romance, Lace, only because I ran out of Everlasting, which is white, and then you know the carbon. We're going to use that for the painting the bird. So a light blue there, and then let's take a little bit of red. Not sure how this is going to look, but we'll see. So the first rock here. So I'm going to start off with the blue, and I'm just going to paint a rough coat. What I'm going to do is just go over the edge a little bit, because I always want to finish the sides. And what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape and then repaint the back of it black. And you want to paint this relatively rough. Now what I am noticing though, because it's super hot in here, I think it's probably about 36 to humidity. I'm running the portable AC during video breaks because it's just so hot. So this paint is sticking really, really well, but it's drying a little bit fast, so I can't do really any wet on wet painting. I'm just going on the side here. What I would recommend for this, and I haven't tried it yet, I really should contact DecoArt, is can I use, let's say, an extender in this? All their stuff is pretty well interchangeable. If I was doing this just for myself, I wouldn't bother, I'd just do the experiment. But if I was giving this as a gift, then I definitely would want to find out first as a gift, or if I was selling it. And then with the red, whoops, okay, too much water. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to take more pure paint, blot my brush, pure paint, and then go down to pure on the bottom. So I just kind of took the watery stuff and moved it down. So these little spirit stones that I'm doing the videos on, my goal is to make them about 15 minutes in length, but some of them are a little bit longer, some of them a little bit shorter. And when you do it, if you have the perfect stone, you may not even have to worry. Blend in between, and then it ends up turning into a beautiful purple. Take a little bit more of the lace. There we go. Now I'm going to let that dry before I even move it. So I've got both stones done. So I made one with the sky red at the top, and then this one here with the sky red at the bottom. And there's a hole here in the rock. So I'm just gonna, when I paint the silhouette, I'll just have that covering it. Oh, so for the stencil, I almost forgot to show you that. So for the stencil, what I did, took a scrap piece of paper and I traced the outline of the bird I wanted to use. And then from this is going to be as a guide. So I'm just going to use this to roughly paint what I want. It's obviously going to be smaller. So I want a branch coming in. And this is using the number 2 round. I'm going to go as far as I can go where it fades out. And branches do fade out like that. When they get really small and they're in the distance, they're hard to see. Nice and jiggy-jaggy. And hopefully this won't be too hard to see. It's so hot in here. This is drying so fast. Problem with using too much water. The paint becomes very thin. do another one. I don't know if you guys can hear Mia. So you're just going to touch, push, lift. Simple, simple. I'm going to put this right here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put the bird there. Okay, just some lines like that. They are very, very dark stones. I'm going to adjust the lighting because I bet you they're really hard to see. And I'm just going to come in and make an adjustment. And this one here, now this one here is really straight, but the bird's going to be right on top of that. So I'm going to take the same brush. Now I'm going to do my sketch. So basically, I'm going to follow along. And you don't have to do it this way. So I'm creating my outline. Little head. You can do this with a pencil if you want. I've done so many of these that it's just, I kind of like to do more freehand. And this is this back wing, and then his tail. Now, if you want to do something much more accurate, you can use the lineless grid system for that part. Okay, I'm going to switch to a bigger brush to fill everything in on the inside. Now, if you don't have the chalk finish paint, if you have a paint that, you know, let's say it gives you more of a gloss or a satin finish, then you can add a chalky finish medium to your paint to make it less glossy. You can also add a matte medium, or when you're varnishing, just cover it with a matte varnish, which is what I'm going to do because I want to retain that soft look. Okay, now let's see if I can get, I'm going to use a tiny little 20-0 brush for the detail. Let me just get his beak in there. I'm having trouble seeing this myself because it's so dark. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put that aside to dry, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other stone. Okay, the detail work I had to do off camera because my head was literally right here because I couldn't see. I brightened up the lights a little bit, but just to show you. So what I did is I took some of the blue, dark blue, and then the black, added a speck of white, and then I wiped the brush, and then I just dry brushed some shapes on here. I did the same thing on this one. And what I also did is I added an eye. Now, typically in a silhouette, you can't see this. But let's see if I can do this with this one here. I'm just going to make this a little bit lighter. And all I'm doing is just putting in, dry brushing some highlights. And it's very hard to dry brush with a brush this small. So I made a boo-boo there, so I'm going to go into the black and repaint that branch just to cover it back up. And I forgot his leg needs to be here. I see shine. There we go. That's fine. There we go. So I need to be like super close because I can't see that small little details like that. But the experiment with whether using black gesso or the chalky finish paint made to the final finish, it made absolutely no difference. That's a bit dark. His paint is drying out. It is super, super hot in here. Oh my God. Yeah, it's getting a little difficult. So what I can do as well And if I just put a little highlight very carefully right here, and then go back in with the eye in that spot. Well, Ms. Grumpy Pants decided to bark at the whole world. So much for trying to get UPS deliveries. I did some experimenting while she was on her bark fest, and so I had to get really close to try to get some stuff in there. And so I thought what I would do is get some clouds. I did test it first. So a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the lace, and then come in here and just using, this is a Moderna, this little dome bristle brush, and just stippling or just dry brushing some clouds here. You can even put some on the bottom. This one's really nice because you can see the blue sky. But this is supposed to be a very dark scene. So I'm going to show you, if you happen to put too much paint, which isn't too bad, just go back into your blue and just go right back over it. And covers it up. Okay, so that's a little birdie there, and there's a bit too much dark, so I just little touch-ups here and there. Trying to find some paint that's dry or wet, I should say. So I've got a little bit of a gray, so then I can come back over, add some darks back in. Remember, it's a silhouette, so you don't want it to be too bright. So I'm just adding a little bit of dark in between where the lights are. This one I like just the way it is, though. I'm not gonna change that except for up here, just a little bit. There we go. I love that one. So I'm going to clean up now, get rid of all the paint, put it away, clean up the lace, clean it up, and then we'll varnish the stones. Then I varnish them. Now these silhouette stones may be dark, a little dark for some of you. If you don't like the silhouette look, then all you have to do is just lighten up the background. So not sure where these are going to end up. I'm assuming they're going to be outside in a garden or somewhere. These would look super nice. I may actually do the photography on that. Putting them in a garden just underneath solar lights. So I'm using the Ultra Matte varnish, the Americana DuraClear Ultra Matte. Now this one here, if you have any type of metallic paint that you've used instead, try to use an outdoor, such as the outdoor living line, on top of the varnish, because you don't have to varnish on top of the outdoor living. And it's mostly varnishing is for moisture. So if this is going to be in the rain, then now you've got to really protect the paint. If it's just going to be sitting, let's say, underneath a sun shelter where it's not going to get wet, then you don't need to worry too much about varnishing, but it's always nice to be extra careful. So I'm going to continue on. So I'm going to put I've got the light layer on here, and then let that dry, flip it over, do the back, let that dry, then put another one right along the sides here, making sure I feather everything out. I'm going to repeat that 2 or 3 more times, and then we come back, everything will be finished. They're all finished, varnished, and ready to go. So the back I just finished off by kind of bringing that line back around. Same thing on this one. Now, when I was varnishing, I had to do a bit of touch up, and I dropped the rock on the palette, which had paint, so I had to do some cleaning up. But good thing I have this pad of palette paper, because this table is glass underneath. So let's save that. So we've got the little reference from here and here, which is in the stencil. It's this little birdie right here and right here. So that's just a quick little way to create some silhouette stones. Again, these would look beautiful in a garden underneath some solar light, so they'll really show up at night. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you get inspired to create your own spirit stones. And don't forget, if you're going to be giving them away or selling them, make sure that you varnish it really, really well. And don't forget to sign your name on the back of the piece. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. And until I see you in the next one, stay inspired.